in growth mode, I sort of would never like the idea of it. One thing that I've often struggled with, and I think a lot of business owners can struggle with, is to actually reject a client as such and say no to their money. Hello, I'm Hayden Bluefield and welcome to the channel. So in the last video I talked about starting therapy this week, and I've set myself 7 goals. So in preparation for the therapy, looked at reviewing where I currently am in my life, what sort of things I want to work on, what problems are there, what I want to fix, and what goals am I sort of heading towards and want to achieve. So I looked at in the next 6 months, so to March, we're currently in September, so looking at March 2022, when my birthday's at the end of the month, so what things do I want to achieve by that time? And in this video, I wanted to just go through with you what those 7 goals, I've set 7 goals, so what those 7 goals are, why I've set them, how I see them evolving, and will they change, why have I set them, and what was the motivations around that? And equally as well, accountability. So I'm now saying to you, here's the goals, I need to achieve them, so let's make sure I do. So let's get stuck straight in. Number 1, be rid of shit clients. So in my business, which I'll go into a lot more detail in later videos, but where lots happened recently and it shrunk right down, it's now essentially me with a couple of other people rather than having like an actual team going out. So my day-to-day was just in the office more so, whereas now I'm fully on the tools again. And so part of that is there's clients that we work with that don't necessarily align with the company values, don't align with mine, or personalities clash, that kind of thing, and all different manner of things. And when I was growing the company, it was purely growth mode. Everything was just like, it was just a process of take on as much work as possible, get as many clients in, every prospect, get them over the line, and then build up that diary, bring people in, employ people to take on that work and do it. So it was just constantly bringing in as much as possible and just ensuring that the people that took on, I can give them full-time work and they had a full diary. And in that just meant that anyone could be a client, whereas now I've lost staff and it's now me on the tools all the time. As I said, I was off the tools and my day-to-day was essentially just like working with the problems, finding the solutions, dealing with the challenges, and then growing the company. Whereas now I'm doing all the work and then I'm coming home dealing with the challenges and such. So if I can eradicate those challenges around clients, then that makes my life a lot easier. And so we have, the challenges is different types of things. So as I said, there's clashes with things that don't work, and then the same with every business owner experiences like customers that don't pay and such. So yeah, dealing with customers that don't pay in that growth mode, it was always just a case of keep those clients on and they owe a bit of money, but leave them for a bit longer, Whereas now I think, like, no, I'm having to spend my time doing a substantial amount of admin. If you can imagine, like, the work we do is repetitive. We're there weekly, fortnightly in people's gardens. They pay, like the way it works, we have a monthly charge, so then they just pay their monthly fee. And so while I have some great kind of customers that's just, first of the month, boom, paid, I have others that I'm chasing for 1, 2, 3 months. And so there's a substantial amount of admin incurred to do that. So now it's just me and my evenings are spent having to deal with that, eradicate them. And other things, like where I am on the tools, it's more about thinking what kind of gardens do I want to work in and what kind of clients. Like we're oversubscribed now, which, great book by Daniel Priestley, Oversubscribed. But now that we're oversubscribed, there's too much work to take on, so I can be very selective. There's, if you've got a bunch of clients and some of them, it's like, great smile, always want to chat, cup of tea, piece of cake, I'll keep those. It's like when it comes down to the fundamentals and clients that I'm chasing for money, then no point keeping them on as clients. And that's the way it's going. It's nice to be in that position. I've always been in the opposite position. So like, while there's been a lot of challenges, it's nice to have this goal that is around, we are oversubscribed, we want to actually get rid of some of the work. It's nice to be in that position and sort of reflect on the positive, because it's been a very difficult thing for me. I've realised I've got to do it, but to actually reject a client as such and say no to their money is just, in my brain, there's just this huge thing that just doesn't compute with it, and it seems like it doesn't work well for business, but it is an important part of business practice to be able to actually recognise when it's not working out for clients. So that's why it's a goal, because it's going to be something that I struggle with. I've managed to do it a couple of times, so keep that going and work with it. Number 2, another goal for the company is increase prices for the remaining clients. So this is not drastically, just a case of one thing that I've often struggled with, and I think a lot of business owners can struggle with, is just increasing your prices each year. And like all the big companies do it, and when you think of like everything, there's inflation. Like your food shopping costs more now than it did 2 years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago. So it should just be something that we just do like once a year, up our prices, not a huge amount. And yeah, sometimes you get customers that are funny about it and you want to keep them. As I said, like in growth mode, I sort of would never like the idea of it. And we did go through a phase of it with VAT. So the company became VAT registered. So commercially it didn't matter. However, domestically, essentially it was just 20% price increase from their end perspective. And for a lot of clients, I just accepted, yeah, brilliant, you do a great job, I'm glad to hear you're doing well, we'll pay the difference. For others, it was a bit more of a hit financially, so there was some negotiations and like meeting in the middle and such. And for some clients, it was just, no, this is the price we pay, don't like it. And so, as I said, in that growth mode, it's like, no, got to keep the client, got to keep the client. Whereas now, it's a very different story. So I can go back to those clients where we didn't have any price increase and we in fact lowered our price so that when the VAT's added on, it's the same amount. I can go back to them and say, right, here's the new pricing. If you're not happy, you're not happy. Shake hands and call it a day. And I've always had this negative connotation in my head to price increases, and it's not a bad thing. Like, we've all got to do it. It's all part of just life. Things inflate and they go up. And I think that stems from my first introduction to business. I worked for a sole trader, and they would almost brag, and like it would be a point to make to clients they haven't upped their prices in 10 years. Like, I remember I worked for them for a few years, so there was actually jobs we went on once a year, and we were doing the same job for the same money year after year. And I think, like, in my head thinking, it just seems backwards that you'd pay the same amount for something like from 2 years ago. But to me, it tells you one of two things. Either it's poor business practice and it's just you're losing money each time you're losing more money, you're making less margin on that job, and therefore you're having to work even harder to make the same money, which just seems, yeah, as I said, a bad business practice. Or it's just that you were making so much money before, the margins were so strong that even after 10 years, you still don't need to increase your prices because there's still a substantial margin that you're happy with, which just doesn't seem possible. I mean, the alternative is that running costs have just lowered so much, but then when we're talking about everything goes up in price and inflation exists, etc., then it's just not feasible. And it just comes down to bad practice that those prices need to be upped. But as I said, in my head, it was always something that has had a negative connotation to it. So it is something I need to work on and do, because I've only done it a couple of times. So they're the two goals that I've set around the company that I run, how we're going to make some changes. There's loads of other bits, but like in terms of the keys to achieve by March next year, that's what I'm striving for. The rest of the goals is all around more my own circumstance. So number 3, be driving a Tesla. So I am a huge Tesla fan. If anybody doesn't know, I spend a lot of my time, I consume Tesla content every day. I study anything to do with Tesla, Elon Musk, infatuated with. And it's something that, like, with Tesla's vision and mission, it's something that aligns so well with my own aspirations, like my idea of a world, or accelerating the world's transition to sustainable energy and living more environmentally friendly and having more of a beneficial impact on the world. Aligns so well with my own goals in terms of with what Tesla's doing as well, that yeah, I want to be a part of that. And every time I see a Tesla, I'm like, oh, I've got to have it. But yeah, so it is an intrinsic goal in the sense that I really want to own one. It's a way for me to connect more with that vision and that mission, and be connected to a company that I'm so, yeah, weirdly so proud of, and like so driven to see do well, that I would do anything. I'd love to be on the board, but you know, brain capacity is not there. But in owning that Tesla, I'm part of that story. I'm supporting it in the way that I can. And it's a way of, yeah, by owning it, I can go out and drive around in my Tesla and people are like, oh, Tesla, it's another Tesla owner. They're getting popular and more popular. And it's something that when I speak to people, oh yeah, have a go, jump in the seat, see what it's like. Yeah, it's amazing. But also, there is that extrinsic, and as I said, like in this channel, I want to be open and honest, there is that extrinsic value to it that I think Teslas are cool. People generally think Teslas are cool, and therefore people will see me driving a Tesla and go, wow, that's cool. So, and there is, just in open honesty, there is that element to it. I think it would be cool to have one because people will see it and be impressed. So there is that element to it. There's not necessarily anything wrong with having a goal that is extrinsic, but I think it's got to have the intrinsic value to it as well. As it can't just be the extrinsic. And it's something I'll go into in a later video in terms of looking at the difference between intrinsic and extrinsic, and is it a healthy way? Because in my mind, it's not healthy to have extrinsic goals, especially not around materialistic items, because hedonistic adaptation tells us that in obtaining that item, we then very quickly lose value to it and just feel deflated again. Striving for extrinsic values doesn't bring inner peace and inner happiness, whereas intrinsic connects to us more. Number 4 is to be 6 months into producing weekly content. So, as I said in my original video, my goal is to create a weekly video for 2 years. However, I've set this goal just as a benchmark for 6 months away to sort of recognize and reward maybe the efforts that I've put in for that quarter step. I'm quarter of my way there. And because 2 years is a long time, it's a long time to commit, especially if you don't necessarily feel or receive reward for it. So just to be able to set that mark of 6 months, be 6 months into it. Because the other the fatal flaw in my 2-year goal, if anyone picked up on, was that I didn't specify when I was going to start. I just said create a weekly video for 2 years. I didn't say I was going to start today. I didn't say I was going to start this year. So this goal is saying I will start this year. I will start right now, and by March, by my next birthday, I will be 6 months into creating a weekly video. Number 5 is another insight into my life. Be profiting 5 to 10 grand a month in day trading. So with the company, like as I mentioned, being more selective with clients that we work with and price increases, I'm not so financially dependent on the company anymore because of day trading. It's something I've only been doing for a few months. I started in June. We're now in September, so it's only a couple of months, and I've collated the data, and I've got another amazing spreadsheet. I love spreadsheets. Collecting all the data in terms of like what is my most profitable trade that month, how much have I profited that month, how many overnight fees am I paying out, and what is the value of the overnight fees, how many trades do I make per month, all these different points of data to collect in order to see how I'm improving, what more I can do to improve, where are my flaws, what errors have I made, and how can I just in general make more money from it. So I originally set a goal of 10 grand for December this year, but that's again another video I wanted to create later, is about setting goals when you start something new. So when I started in trading, I just set these random goals for figures per month I wanted to profit, and they was all driven around by December reaching 10 grand, which just is, I have that tendency to set ridiculous, unattainable goals, and then I would be disappointed in anything that was below set. Like the goal is the bare minimum. So like for example, that 10 grand goal, if I did £9,900 in a month, I would be disappointed that I'd felt that's failure. I'm £100 away from failure, and £100 is substantial. Like I'm £100 away from £100 into failure, and 10 grand would just be the bare minimum. Anything above 10 grand is like, oh great, there's the success. And it's ridiculous. Like, to be, what business venture do you start as a side hustle in your spare time on your phone with that? Like, I think I compare that to my garden business, and there was no way, like 10 grand turnover took more than a year, let alone profit. I don't make 10 grand profit in gardening a month. It'd be crazy. But the fact that I've managed to pick up this side hustle that can work and function, and actually that goal is achievable, is astounding in itself. And that needs, as I said, I have the tendency to set unrealistic goals and not recognise the actual efforts and reward of what I have achieved. So I've set 5 to 10 grand. It's a big bracket, it's a vague goal. However, it is black and white. Like, it's easy to measure and see if I achieved it. And it's simple, like come the end of March, do I tick the box of 5 to 10 grand? Yes or no? But it's something like, when I set those original goals, I didn't have any data to go on. I didn't really know what I could achieve trading. I just put in a small amount of money and was fiddling around with it. I did no calculations, just for, I'll see what I can profit. Whereas now I've got a couple months of data, I've got a bit of an idea. That is why I've set a vague goal of 5 to 10 grand, because I have got some vague knowledge based on a few months. And I haven't got a few years, I've got a few months of data to work with. But number 6, own 100, you won't be surprised by this, own 100 Tesla shares. But I've put a note, this must be achieved before goal 3. So I must own 100 Tesla shares before I drive a Tesla myself. And in this goal, it's a nerving one in the sense that it's just all about money and having money. And it's a difficult one in the sense of how much of my own money do I want to put aside? Because to say like, I'll just get every single penny I've got and put it into Tesla shares is risky in the sense that I'm putting all my money into one place and I can't really move. Yeah, I'd be struggling to achieve it. But it is a goal that's there, so it means I've got to generate cash elsewhere, and so it's already got me thinking about where have I got money, where is there money sitting or where is there value sitting that could be sold, in the sense of old stuff that I've collected over the years. It's just sitting in the loft, not worth anything, however, doesn't have any value to me, but I could sell it and then translate that into Tesla shares. So it's already got me thinking creatively and outside the box to find other ways to obtain the capital in order to purchase 100 shares, because I don't know, to some it won't be a huge achievement or it won't be a huge amount of money, but to me personally, it's quite a big step. It's a lot to strive for, but it's definitely something I feel I can achieve. Would be good to. The last one's goal number 7 is the one I'm most nervous about in terms of thinking it will be the most difficult to actually achieve, and that's have a plan in place and date finalised for living abroad. So something I would like to do in my 20s is to live for a year or more abroad somewhere. The only thought process I've really gone into it is, the reason behind it is that I want to spend time in a less economically developed country to experience an environment where necessities that we take for granted quite a lot in the Western world aren't so easily accessible. The idea that I can literally walk 20 feet and get some running water, literally there's very substance that keeps me alive. The most important thing I need to consume is just 20 feet away. I can access it 24/7. It's not a problem. I've never struggled. Even if I'm out in the middle of nowhere, I can pretty much walk into any restaurant or something, just say, can I just get some tap water? So the idea of being in an environment where the necessities we need have more of a process to them. You have to get the water, you have to treat it, whatever. Or fruit and veg isn't just a case of, you don't just go, oh, fridge a bit low, just fill up the basket, click, food's on its way in and out. So the idea that you actually have to go out, pick your fruit for the week, or go to your local markets and explore what is available for that time, just to find gratitude for the things that we take. It might sound a bit hippie or whatever, but it's just something I think in building a sustainable lifestyle and sustainable wealth is about going back to basics and appreciating, exploring gratitude, because it's something that, a fact of building wealth and building financial freedom and starting to come into riches, one thing that will come with that is it's very easy to lose touch of how lucky you are to have things. As I said, with hedonistic adaptation, it's very easy to become used to the level of life. As your lifestyle increases, what you're used to and what you appreciate. I remember the first time I drove a car, there's nothing, no matter what vehicle I get, I know, no matter what vehicle I could get, like a Tesla Roadster, the day it comes out, and I will not be as excited as I was the first day I passed my test and drove that car insured legally on the road. Terrifying, however, exhilarating, knowing that I could drive that car. Won't compare, crappy old car I inherited compared to 200 grand engineering genius that I'm driving. So that's part of it, is going to a third world country. I'm thinking Bali. If anyone's been to Bali, what's it like? Let me know. It'd be great to talk. So that's the final goal. And as I said, it's the most nerve one. The fact that I've actually got to have a plan in place, and I have made a note that this might impact goal 3, but I might not have the Tesla. There's no point in me getting a Tesla if I'm going to be living abroad next year or something. So, but this is the one that's most nerving, and I find is going to be the most difficult for me to achieve. And as I said, I haven't set my 90-day plan or anything, so I need to work on that. And I'll review this and obviously do a video in 6 months' time to see what I have and haven't achieved. And I'll also do one halfway through the 3 months, so in the new year, to see where, once I've actually got the 90-day plan, and also to see where I am. Am I on track to achieve everything? Have I achieved any of them? But number 7, I definitely think it's going to be the most difficult, because these things, when you're talking about 1 and 2, you're looking at small changes that I'm already starting to do and I have to do anyway, whereas number 7 is obviously if I go to live abroad for a year, what is going to happen to my business? So there's a lot there to think about. But these are the goals I've set, and what do you think yourself? Have I set realistic expectations? And when I think on these goals and look at them and I reread them, they're vague. It's the start, and as I said, I'll go into more detail with the 90-day plan, but there's a reason they're set, and they hold good, strong intrinsic value to me, and it's put me on in the right place, and it's getting me ready for therapy that I start this week. So comment below, what are your goals? Are you striving for anything in the next 6 months? And should I do a 90-day plan video? Oh no, but I will regardless. And there's the 7 goals. Bye.